Remember the good times with your grandparents. You never forget them. Well, back in the early 90s, right after my grandmother died on my father's side, my grandfather had to sell the house. It was pretty sad, but he had to move into this like one-bedroom apartment. And I was saying to myself, I like to go over there and spend some time with him. I feel like I need to do it. So I went over there, and at the time I was working for Etterman's, and I had in this bag this chocolate spice cake that he loved, which I wish I had today. I mean, I cut one of my fingers off to have it. Over here in Arizona, all we get is the donuts. Well, anyway, I went over there, and when I parked my van, I had this old van I use for work around the house. So I got out of the van, and I walked in front of his apartment because he was on the first floor, and I could see him in there watching TV. So I went to the door, I put the cake on the floor in the bag, I started banging on the door, and he wouldn't answer. So I rang the doorbell again, and I said, "Grandpa, open the door. I know you're in there, you're watching TV, open it." So I could hear him right next to the door, and he's like, "Who is it?" I was like, "Grandpa, it's me." And he goes, "Who?" I said, "It's me, your grandson." And again, he's like, "Who is it?" And I was like, "It's your grandson, Frank Bequicchio, open the door." And then all of a sudden, he opens the door real slow. And he looks at me in the eye and he goes, "I'm Frank Bequicchio," which was his name because I was named after him. And when he said that, I looked him right in the face, and he looked at me, and I saw his eyes, and he realized who I was. And then I gave him a big, big hug. And then we went in the house, and he said to me, "Oh, can you put these drops in my eyes?" And I was like, "Okay." And then I read the bottle. It said, 2 drops every 6 hours or so. So I told him, "Did you put him in yet?" Recently, and he goes, "No, no, no." So I said, "Okay." He sat down, he bent his head down. I put the 2 drops in each eye, and then gave him a towel, wipe his face, and then we were just having some small talk. And then I took the cake, I put it in the refrigerator because I know he likes it cold. And when I opened up the refrigerator, I was pretty mad, upset because there was like no food. And then I said to my grandfather, "Hey, Grandpa, you want to like go out to eat or something?" And he was like, "Oh, okay." He goes, "Well, before we go, you got to put the drops in my eyes." And I was like, "Grandpa, I just put them in." And he's like, "No, I got to put him in. I got to put him in." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't want to say no to him." So he got back on the chair. He tilted his head back, and then I put the drops. I made sure they hit like over here. So he didn't even notice it. And I was like almost laughing a little bit, but I was kind of nervous because I don't know if he was really doing it when he was supposed to do it. So after he wiped his face, I said to him, I said, "Where you want to go? You want to get something to eat? Let's go somewhere." Because I know he didn't eat because there was no food in the house. So he said to me, he goes, "Yeah, I think I want to go see my son Frank," who had the same name, Frank Bequicchio. And I said, "Okay, Grandpa, well, I'll take you over there." And my uncle only lived like next town over, about 15 minutes away. So as we got there, we got in the truck, the old van, and we were driving there, and I had like a Sanford and Son moment. I started laughing, and then I looked over to him, and I noticed he was cracking up laughing. And I don't know if he was just trying to be nice because I was laughing. Maybe he didn't hear me. He didn't want to know that he didn't hear me. Maybe he thought I said something funny. So he started laughing. Then I started laughing. Then we were like laughing hysterical. And then finally we got to the house. And as we were walking up to my uncle's house, we got to the door. And I said to my grandfather, I said, "Hey, Grandpa, we're going to see another Frank Bequicchio." And he looked at me, he like got mad. He goes, "I told you I'm Frank Bequicchio." And I started cracking up again. I put my arms around him, and at that moment, my Uncle Frank opens the door, and immediately he hugs us too. And then my uncle looks at me, and I told him the story. And he started laughing, and then my grandfather started laughing hysterical, and we didn't know if he understood what we were saying or heard what we were saying. But anyway, we went in there. We didn't stay that long. We had like this Italian bread cut up with dry salami. It's like an Italian thing. So we ate it, and I told my uncle, yeah, I plan on staying with Grandpa a couple of days. And my uncle was really happy about that. He goes, oh, that's pretty cool. So we took my grandfather home, and I took my grandfather home. And then when we got there, we turned on the TV, and we started watching the Met game. The Mets were on. And then my grandfather was like, let's get that cake. And I was like, oh, okay, Grandpa. So I went to the refrigerator to get the cake. And then he says to me, get the vermouth, because he loved sweet vermouth. So I got the vermouth, I poured it. We sat down on the couch, we had the cake. And then we started drinking a couple of glasses, and we started getting tipsy-turvy. And then as we were watching the game, we were starting to fall out. And then it was really funny because I tipped to the right and he tipped to the left, and we clonked heads, pretty hard, and we were holding our heads and rubbing it. And then we both started laughing hysterical. And then I put him to bed, and then when I left early in the morning to go to work, I got tears in my eyes, and I was thinking, I'm never going to forget this moment. It'll stick with me forever. And now it's like 35 years later. I always think about that. So I wanted to say that, and it's a moment that you'll never forget and always stick with you, and you always miss your grandparents. If they passed away, you always think about them. You always wonder where they are and when you're going to see them again. And remember, all things must pass till our Lord appears.